Okay, everyone, welcome back. This is Deep Reading with Roald, Dahl, Volume 1. Today, we're going to be continuing Part 2 of the Unit 1 quiz. Last time, we talked about the passage which discusses heroes versus villains. If you didn't watch that video, I recommend that you do so to know what the passage was about. However, to speed things along, let's go ahead and talk about the main ideas of the passage before we answer the questions. Are you ready? Let's go. So, you can see this lovely looking guy over here. That's Superman. He is a great superhero who can fly, has super strength, and everything. Now, the reason Superman is there is because when he's not out saving the world, he's dressed like a normal person. He wears a suit, he goes to work, and nobody knows that he's secretly a superhero. That is one of the main ideas of the passage that talks about how superheroes, or even just any hero in a movie or a story, they often look like you or me. You or me, okay? But villains often look scary, like monsters, or ugly, like any of the farmers from Fantastic Mr. Fox. Farmer Buns, Farmer Bogus, Farmer Bean, okay? I don't think any of us would say they're handsome and good-looking guys. But this is important because there's a lesson in that. And the passage discusses how bad guys look that way and live in scary castles like this one because the whole point is that villains or bad guys are not supposed to be normal, and we're not supposed to want to be like them. I hope no one wants to live in this scary looking castle. Actually, it might seem like a very wonderful place to live if it didn't look so spooky, right? And normal people, like our hero over here, live in nice houses like this one. And that is supposed to give us a lesson that everyday people like you and I can also be heroes. Okay? Did you get that? So there's a reason why bad guys look scary or live in scary places. And there's a reason why heroes from stories often look like you or me, or at least they're not scary and weird looking or living in weird places, okay? I mean, sure, we don't all look like this guy. We don't have muscles and wear capes, but you know what I'm trying to say, right? Okay, well, let's answer the questions. Today, we're going to be focusing on key words. Keywords are important words in the passage, and we can also find them in the questions. Okay, so I'm going to be using my little blue pen here, and I'm going to underline keywords in the question and the answer keys. And while I'm doing that, I'm going to pause. I'm going to pause and give you a chance to answer the questions on your own, and then I will give you the answer, and you can see if you're right. Okay? Number 1. Okay, actually, before I start this, if you're just joining and you haven't read the passage, do that right now. Press pause on this video, read the passage, thinking about what the lessons that I've already told you about heroes and villains, but read everything once because you should always read the passage before you start answering questions and making circles everywhere. Okay, so just press pause and then wait for a second. And then press unpause. And now you're back and you've read everything. Let's get started. According to the passage, which of the following is not true about villains? Not true about who? Villains. Okay, this is about villains. So that is our keyword here. They live in castles. They are extremely rich or poor. They are ugly. They all have superpowers. Okay, so let's circle our keywords just to make sure that we are able to find them, locate them in our passage. Okay? So, what you should be doing is you should be going up to, not up, actually at home, you're going to be going to the other side of the book. For me, it's up. For you, it's the other side. Anyway, you should be going into the passage and looking for those words, okay? You should be looking for the word castles. Where do we see castles? I'm doing the first one for you, so just follow along. But use your eyes. Don't just let me do all the work. Use your eyes. Let's see. Castles. Where do we see castles? Searching. Aha! I didn't find castles, but I found rich and poor. Okay, so it does say that bad guys are usually extremely rich or poor. So I know that one is out. So I'm going to go back to that page. Bing. Remember, this is saying which is not true. Well, this one says it is true, so it's not B. Do they live in castles? Let's look for castles. I found it. Do you see it? It's somewhere in this passage. I'll wait for you to circle it. Maybe you're at home raising your hand and saying, Teacher, I found it, but I can't hear you because this is a recorded video. But you probably are circling this word, and you are correct. Castles. You found the key word. Great job. Cross that out. Are they ugly? That's not very nice. Well, it's okay because they're bad guys. We can say bad things about bad guys. If they didn't want us to say bad things about them, then they shouldn't have been bad guys. Okay, I see it. It's in paragraph 5. P5 right here. Do you see it? Woo! Looking, scanning. Yes, it's right here. Ugly. Have you ever wondered why they're often so ugly? That's just a question that basically says they are ugly. Okay? If I eat a sandwich and I say, why is this sandwich so disgusting? Then I'm basically saying, this sandwich is disgusting. Okay? So, because we found all of these, the answer has to be D. If you circle D, give yourself a round of applause. But not too much because I actually did that for you. So, let's go to number 2. Why does the author think that heroes and villains are not that different? Not different. Okay, well this one will be a little bit hard to find in the passage just looking for a phrase, not different. Maybe it doesn't actually say that. So we have to look at our answer choices. They are usually friends until something bad happens. Okay, friends is a good one. They like to eat the same foods. What do you think is the key word here? 1, 2, 3. That's right, foods. Very good. They usually bump into each other somewhere. Now, to bump into someone means that you meet. So you could see each other. You can say hi to each other. It doesn't mean that they actually have to be like, boom, hey, watch where you're going. Okay, that's not actually what it means. It can mean that, but when you bump into someone, you're usually like, oh, hi, what are you doing here? I didn't know you also went to this supermarket. Okay, D, we don't know much about either of them. We don't know anything about them. Well, let's see which one is true. Let's first look for friends. Okay, are they friends? Okay, well, there's so much writing here. Now's a good time to make sure that we know what the main idea of each paragraph is. Okay? So, assuming that you've already read the passage, then this should be easy for you, but I'll help you along. Main idea of paragraph 3, it's about villains or bad guys. I'm just going to write on the side here. Okay, it's kind of falling. Okay, villains, bad guys. It's about villains. Over here, it's talking about, heroes and villains. Well, this might be a good place to look. Hint, hint. Heroes and villains. I'm just going to write the main idea a little bit so that we can find it easily. Over here, what villains are like? more information about what villains are like. I see the word ugly there again, so maybe it's talking about what they look like. We also see that scary castle. And then over here, oh, it's talking about heroes up here. Okay, so it's talking about what heroes are like. And then down here, it's talking about villains again. So it's comparing, showing how they're different. Wait a second. Didn't our question ask us to look for that? Okay, that might be good to know. And then this and this, it's talking about stories. And then here, conclusion. Conclusions don't usually have a main idea. They're just kind of like telling everything, all the main ideas in a short and simple way. Okay, and there we have it. So let's start hunting. They are friends until something bad happens. Do we see them talking about friends? Do we see the word friends? I see the words mom or dad. I see nasty, cruel, and mean-spirited. I see, oh, hero. Hero wants something. Villain just shows up ready to stand in their way. When the villain is trying to rob a bank, isn't it strange that the hero goes to the same bank as the... Wait a second. This sounds like they're bumping into each other. Okay, well, we found that answer. So let's go down. That's right. There it is. It's not C. They're not... Why does the author think they're not... They usually bump... Wait a second. They usually bump into each other. They're not that different. That's the way of saying how are they the same. Oh, so actually, sorry. This one might be correct. So I'm going to do that. I actually know what the answer is. I'm just trying to do what I think you guys might be doing. So I'm going to put a check next to this to show that it might be correct. Okay? You're probably saying, hey, it's not fair. You already know what the answer is. Well, yeah, I'm the teacher. They are usually friends until something bad happens. That didn't come up. I didn't see that. Do they like to eat the same foods? Did we see any mention of foods? Let's see. It's talking about jobs. Eat the same foods? They eat the same foods? Oh, that we do. Heroes, they eat the same foods that we do. Okay, so it's not talking about villains and heroes. It's talking about us and heroes. Okay, so it's not B. Okay? All right, so we don't know much about either of them. Well, this whole thing is telling us a lot about both of them. So it's either this one, but we didn't see friends, or it's this one, and we did see that they meet each other, even though it doesn't actually say the word bump into each other. Which one do you think it is? Which one is the best answer? I'll give you a second. You can pause and think about it and say, and walk around your room, Okay, are you ready? Unpause. Go. That is correct. The answer is C. All right. The answer is C. Let's go to number 3. What does it mean to stand in someone's way? Well, this is a vocab question. But again, we can still use keywords for this. To not move when someone is crossing the street. Crossing the street, okay. To stop someone from getting what they want. To do bad things to someone. To be rude or obnoxious. Obnoxious is the same as being rude. Okay, so what does it mean? Well, instead of just guessing based on our keywords and phrases, let's go up and find that highlighted word. Okay, now my page has become somewhat of a mess. Let me just tidy it up real quick. And if you are working in your workbook at home, you probably have a pencil. You don't have to erase this. Actually, I don't recommend that you erase it. I think it's good to just leave everything the way it is for you so that you can see how you got the answers and stuff. But I'm going to erase it on my screen just so that you guys at home watching this can read more easily. Now, that looks nice. Now it's all nice and cleaned up. Okay, let's go back back to our drawing pad, and here it is. It's already highlighted for us. Stand in their way. Now, when we have a vocabulary question, you have to read the sentence that it's in, the sentence before, and the sentence after. Now, since there's 3 sentences in this whole paragraph, that means we just have to read the whole paragraph. But if you had a paragraph with 10 sentences, read the sentence that it's in, before, and after, like a little sandwich, okay? And that way you know exactly what the word or the phrase is talking about. If you just read the word or phrase in the sentence, it's kind of like just eating a piece of ham, okay? It's not bad, right? But it's better with the bread and the sandwich, right? 2 sides. Meat in the middle, okay? You know what? I just ate a sandwich, so that's probably why I thought of that example. Even though they may seem like opposites, heroes and villains often live in each other's worlds. Okay, that means like they live next to each other. Have you noticed that when the hero wants something, the villain just shows up ready to stand in their way? When the villain is trying to rob the bank, isn't it strange that the hero goes to the same bank as that the villain does? Okay, so this is more explanation about this idea. It gives another example of what does it mean to stand in their way? Well, what do you think happens when a hero and a bad guy meet and the bad guy's trying to rob the bank? Do they say, hey, let's help each other rob the bank? No! There's a fight. The hero says, put that money down and step away from the vault, right? Or something like that. Or maybe he just like starts shooting fireballs out of their hands. I don't know. It depends what kind of hero that hero is. Maybe they just call the police. Maybe they just start doing taekwondo and, you know, who knows? Who knows what happens? Anyway, which one of these sounds most like that? Which one of these sounds like fighting or getting into some kind of battle? To not move when someone's crossing the street? Nope. It wasn't talking about crossing the street in that example of the bank. To stop someone from getting what they want? Well, certainly that would be true. To do bad things to someone? Well, if a hero stops the villain from robbing the bank, are they doing something bad to the bad guy? I guess it depends if you're like on the bad guy's side. Then you would say, that hero is always so bad to me, stopping me from stealing all the money. I don't know. That's a tough one. We'll kind of give it a small check. You know, it's all about point of view, I guess. D, to be rude and obnoxious? Didn't really see that, so which one are we picking? Pause. If you pick B, you are correct. If you pick C, then you are reading really deeply into the example, and maybe you're imagining that you're on the bad guy's side helping them rob the bank. I don't know. Okay, number 4. Why does the author mention the fact that villains usually live in castles or caves? Okay, so this one is asking us to search for the context clue or keyword words. We're going to go up and find it in the passage, read it one more time. This is called a close reading. We're looking close because we're looking at one part of the passage, and we're going to say what it means. Okay, so here we go. Let's see. Yes, I did that because I want to get very close. Extremely close. Okay, that was a little too close. Where's castles? Talks about castles somewhere. Maybe we should get even closer. Even closer! Okay, let's see. Oh, scary mountains. I think I saw castles next to this word. Castles, beep, beep. There's castles. Okay. So, let's zoom out. Here we go. The hero, oops, I didn't say go down, I said zoom out. All right. Let's see. The hero can live in a house on a quiet street surrounded by trees and neighbors, but villains live in caves or castles on top of scary mountains or inside spaceships flying around in outer space. Now, these are just examples. It's obviously not saying that every single bad guy in every story lives in a scary castle or a spaceship. But what it's saying is one character lives in a normal setting and the other character lives in a not so normal setting because That's what it's trying to tell us about heroes and villains, which I talked about at the beginning of our lesson. So, let's see which one is closest to that. To show that villains don't like apartments or houses? No, we know that's a silly answer. To show that darkness makes characters evil? That's a maybe. That's a maybe. Those are all dark places. Evil people live in those, characters live in those places. We know that darkness can make people go crazy. To show that villains are not like regular people? Okay, well that's a big check. To show that there are many places that begin with the letter C. Castles or caves. Oh, wow, that is true. Castles, caves, coves, coral, cookie. Okay, I don't know if bad guys live inside of cookies, but that would be an interesting story. Okay, we are going with B as the right answer. I didn't even pause there because, wait, what am I saying? B? Sorry. C. We're going with C. I didn't even pause there because I think we all know that this is the right answer. And I want to move this along because we've got 4 more questions to do. Why are pet monsters mentioned in paragraph 8? Okay? So you're going to look at paragraph 8 and find the answer. Why do heroes and villains' appearances differ according to the passage? Appearance means how they look. How they look, okay? What they look like. What is something we don't often learn about villains? And which statement best summarizes the passage? The reason I'm rushing through these 4 questions is because by now you should have a pretty good idea of what you need to do. You need to underline or circle those keywords in the answer choices. Go up into the passage, look for them, cross off the bad choices, try to end up with 2 choices and then pick the best one. Okay? I want you to do that on your own. And the answers are in the answer key in the back, which you can check after you've answered the questions. And I'll also leave them in the description below. If you don't have this book, go out and buy it. And you can follow this lesson and many more with Deep Reading with Roald Dahl, Volume 1. Now, in my next video, which I'm going to record as soon as I stop this one, I'm going to talk more about Farmer Buns, Farmer Bogus, and Farmer Bean just as a novel study, not talking about this workbook, so that you can learn more about Fantastic Mr. Fox and the writing of Roald Dahl in the novel lesson. All right? Thanks for staying tuned, and we'll see you next time. I'll see you next time. I won't see you. It's just a recording, but you'll see me. Bye.